What is reality? What is the meaning of life? If a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? Is there a right and wrong way to handle a trespass stop? Yes, there is. At least according to this lawsuit filed by a Harrisburg, Pennsylvania man against several Harrisburg police officers after this arrest.
Are you about to get pepper sprayed? Are you so serious right now? Are they about to pepper spray? Are they dead serious right now? She's about to pepper spray him. Oh my god, he said get the off my property. Oh my god. 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 He almost just got hit by a car. What the is happening?
Brutality.
Hey, I'm America's attorney. I've been a lawyer for over 24 years. I've helped way more than 1.2 million people. Let's take a look at Carter Birch's lawsuit and the arrest that caused it. Carter Birch is a Pennsylvania resident from the small community of Big Cove Tannery, about 2 hours west of Harrisburg. On March 15th, 2025, he was out in the city with his sister Isabella and a friend enjoying a night on 2nd Street, Harrisburg's well-known nightlife strip. Well-known? I never heard of it. The lawsuit paints him as an ordinary guy whose evening took a sharp and unexpected turn after entering a nightclub called Nocturnal. Ooh. According to the lawsuit, a Nocturnal staff member pulled Carter Birch aside around 11:30 p.m. and told him he had to leave, citing issues from a previous visit. Birch didn't argue about leaving, but asked if he could wait just a minute so his friend could grab her coat. The staff refused and made it clear he needed to go immediately. When he hesitated, things escalated. He was pushed down a stairwell and out the door, and when he raised his voice in protest at being manhandled, an employee allegedly put him in a headlock. A police officer who witnessed the scuffle eventually told the employee to let him go. From there, unfortunately, things only grew more volatile. Officers Mark Howell, Esteban Restrepo, and Cynthia Kreiser were stationed on 2nd Street that night as a part of Harrisburg's 2nd Street Support Program, which deployed extra police during the weekend nightlife rush. Actually, that does sound like a great concept for a TV show that's about to get canceled. Anyways, as Birch exited Nocturnal, Officer Kreiser immediately pointed her pepper spray at him and ordered him to leave the area. He did as he was told, walking toward the corner of North 2nd and Pine Streets to wait for his sister and friend. But that's when Nocturnal's owner, Justin Browning, confronted him, yelling for him to get the F off my property. Within moments, Officer Howell charged in, shoving Birch into a traffic pole and then into the street where cars were passing. Howell tripped him and forced him to the ground, nearly causing him to be struck by a vehicle. Officer Restrepo then grabbed Birch by the chin and neck, dragged him a few feet, and helped Powell pin him and handcuff him. Meanwhile, Kreiser advanced with her pepper spray still aimed, and when Birch's sister and friend tried to intervene, she shoved them back, threatened to spray them, and even struck one of them in the throat. The shoving by the police officer into the street is never legal under any circumstances. You don't exercise control over a criminal suspect by shoving them around. You definitely don't shove them into the street. If he wants to arrest him, then he needs to get physical control over him by handcuffing him with his arms behind his back. He doesn't need to shove him around, especially if he believes that Carter is meaningfully drunk, because obviously if he loses his balance and hits his head on the pavement, he can be seriously injured. Now, if his goal is to punish Carter in violation of the 8th Amendment by beating him up before he arrests him, I can only give him like 2 out of 5 stars.
On the bottom, Paige, you were good. I'm waiting for you to be great.
Now, after being forced to the ground and handcuffed, Carter Birch was taken into custody by officers Howell and Restrepo and transported to the Dauphin County Prison. He wasn't held long, though. He was released about an hour later, but the trouble didn't stop there. The next day, Officer Howell filed a criminal complaint against him, accusing Birch of disorderly conduct and public drunkenness. The charges are both relatively low-level offenses under Pennsylvania law, but they carry significant weight because they can be used to justify arrests in situations where the officers claim someone was disruptive or unsafe. Under 18 PA-CS Section 5503, disorderly conduct makes it unlawful for a person with the intent to cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or recklessly creating a risk of that, to engage in fighting, threatening, or violent behavior, to make unreasonable noise, to use obscene language or gestures, etc. In Birch's case, Officer Howell cited subsection A1, which covers engaging in fighting or threatening behavior, and subsection B, which allows the offense to be graded as a misdemeanor in certain circumstances. The problem, however, is that Birch's alleged behavior didn't didn't clearly meet those elements. He wasn't fighting with anyone once outside the club, and by the time the officers acted, he had already complied with their direction to leave. The most aggressive behavior, in fact, came from the nightclub staff and then from the officers themselves. The second charge, public drunkenness, is defined in section 5505. It applies when a person appears in a public place manifestly under the influence of alcohol or a controlled substance, check, to the degree that they may endanger themselves, endanger others, or annoy people in their vicinity. I didn't see that. The statute isn't about simply having consumed alcohol. It requires clear signs of impairment that rise to the level of risk or nuisance. There's not much public footage available, but in what we do have, there's no indication Birch was stumbling drunk, belligerent, or out of control. In fact, the more obvious danger described was that he was pushed into traffic by officers, not that he posed a danger to anyone because of his apparent intoxication. Taken together, these charges appear to have been used as a way to retroactively justify the arrest. And that may be why Judge Michaela Sloan dismissed them at the preliminary hearing. The facts as presented didn't satisfy the statutory requirements. This dismissal not only cleared Birch criminally, but also set the stage for a civil lawsuit because it underscored the argument that his arrest lacked legal foundation and was instead the result of excessive force and poor judgment by the officers involved, and obviously a cover-up. The lawsuit Carter Birch filed on September 3rd of 2025 is a federal civil rights case brought under 42 U.S.C. Section 1983, targeting both individual officers and the Harrisburg Bureau of Police itself. At the center of the lawsuit are officers Mark Howell and Esteban Restrepo, accused of using excessive force in violation of the Fourth Amendment by shoving Birch into traffic, tripping him, and dragging him by the neck and handcuffing him when he posed no threat and was not resisting. I mean, you guys saw the footage. Alongside them, Officer Cynthia Kreiser is accused of failing to intervene even though she had witnessed the use of force and had the ability to stop it, while also escalating the situation by threatening Birch's companions with pepper spray and striking one of them. I mean, I wanted her to use the pepper spray on the other officers, but that's never going to happen. Police Commissioner Thomas Carter is also sued under a theory of supervisory liability, with the complaint arguing that he kept Howell and Restrepo assigned to Harrisburg's controversial 2nd Street Support Program. Season premiere next week. Despite repeated allegations of excessive force against them, showing deliberate indifference to the risks. Beyond the constitutional claims, the lawsuit includes state law causes of action for assault and battery against Howell and Restrepo, rooted in the physical harm inflicted on Birch during the arrest. I mean, he's lucky he didn't have his arm broken like the lady from the last video.
You let go of my arm! I think you're
Birch seeks compensatory damages for physical injury, emotional distress, and humiliation, as well as punitive damages against the two arresting officers. At the heart of Carter Birch's lawsuit is not just what happened to him that night, but the broader system that allowed it to happen. The Harrisburg Bureau of Police had long run the 2nd Street Support Program, a weekend initiative where 6 to 10 officers patrolled outside the bars and nightclubs along 2nd Street. New episodes every Thursday. The catch was that the program wasn't funded by taxpayers. It was paid for by contributions from bar owners, essentially turning off-duty police officers into hired security in a nightlife environment full of intoxicated patrons. I can't believe I'm saying contributions by the nightclubs. They're paying for it. As I mentioned earlier, both officers Howell and Restrepo have been accused of excessive force multiple times in connection with this very program, with at least one of those cases already in active litigation. Despite these red flags, or perhaps because of them, Commissioner Thomas Carter continued assigning them to the 2nd Street patrols, a choice the complaint describes as deliberate indifference to the risks that they posed. It was only after Birch's arrest was caught on video and widely shared on social media that Carter shut down the program, admitting to local press that having off-duty officers using city equipment to manage drunken crowds was too much of a liability. You think? Birch's lawsuit was filed just over a week ago, so for now the ball is in the city's court. Well, technically it's in federal court, but you know what I mean. The existence of widely circulated footage of the arrest could strengthen Birch's position and put pressure on the city of Harrisburg to consider settlement rather than risk a jury trial. Or maybe they want to bring the show back for a 2nd season. On the other hand, the city and the officers may try to argue that their actions were justified under the circumstances, relying on qualified immunity and framing the confrontation as crowd control in a volatile nightlife setting. On the other hand, Birch's lawyers may want to consider adding the nightclubs, who are paying the officers, as defendants in the case. They don't have any shield from liability like qualified immunity, and if the officers were in fact paid by them, then they were an extension of the rights of those clubs, and I can assure you that the rights of those clubs do not include beating the out of people like Carter Birch. What is the best path forward to find the truth? Science? Math? Art? Philosophy? Lawsuits? What are your thoughts on Carter Birch's lawsuit? Should the city settle this lawsuit? Should the show be renewed? Drop your pro se opinion down below in the comments, and don't forget to lawyer up with me by hitting that subscribe button. Pin it down to the road.
Oh, that's no.
In the sense that, you know what I mean?
And I'll be back soon with more legal breakdowns. You won't want to miss it, and I'll see you then. Filed by a Harrisburg. Punishing Carter unconstitutional.